Part 6, we're now going to do the sleeve on the granny hexagon cardigan. So we have made our hexagon, we've sewn the shoulder, and then now we're going to add some length to our sleeve as well as narrow the sleeve by doing a couple of decreases, so that way it's not so baggy going down your arm. So here we are, I've done my shoulder with all the way across, and I'm ending down here at the bottom, which is my sleeve. Now for this particular one, I have a specific sleeve pattern that I made up. So we will go through that sleeve pattern. So first, we are going to do 5 what I would call regular rounds, which is basically the same concept of we've been doing this whole time with 3 double crochets inside each chain space. Now I ended my sewing of the shoulder right here in this corner chain space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate this into 2 separate sleeves pieces. I'm going to chain 3. That counts as a double crochet. And then I'm going to put 2 double crochets in this first chain space. There's my 3 double crochet. Then I'm going to go all the way around the sleeve and put 3 double crochets in each chain space. When you get to the end, you're going to have the extra corner space and your seam. I'm just going to put 3 double crochet in this final corner space. Okay, and I'm not chaining 1 in between any of these. I'm just stretching it over after each cluster. So now we have our 2 corners with 3 double crochets in them divided by our seam. We're just going to slip stitch into the top of the previous as per usual. And I'm going to slip stitch to the space here. And again, just start my cluster. 2, 3 double crochet. So I started with a chain 3 and then 2 double crochet. And then I'm going to continue all the way around. The next time I don't have to worry about how to deal with or skip my seam. And I'm going to do this 5 rounds. So this is my second round I'm starting. There's going to be a total of 5. And then we're going to have a different variation for the next round after these 5. So we have our 5 rounds of just regular grinding clusters down the sleeve. So we can see our seam ends here. We have our grinding clusters. Now again, you can just keep going this till the arm is as long as you want it, and it'll just be a little wide. It's completely up to you. You don't have to do this a specific way. Again, I've just developed like what I like to do. Okay, so the next round is going to be a decrease round. And so it's essentially the same thing, but I made this little pattern on it. So we're going to slip stitch over into our first cluster hole again. Okay, so what I'm going to do is 2 clusters and then a skip. So I'm starting with my 3 chain, 2 double crochet. So I have a cluster, right? And then I'm going to do another one. So I have 2. And then the next chain space, I'm just going to skip over it. I'm not going to do anything or chain any extra. I'm just skipping it. Now it will kind of look a little funny at first, but the weight and the finished product, it'll kind of level out and it won't look so crazy. So that's 1, 2, see, I skipped this one, did 2 more. Now I'm going to skip this one and do 2 more. And by 2 more, I mean clusters. Okay, 2 clusters, skip, 2 more clusters. Okay, 2 clusters, skip, and I will do 2 more clusters. There's 1. 2, skip, 1, 2, and on the last part, because of the amount of rows I have in mine, there's not a skip here, so I'm just going to slip stitch into the top of the next row. Now it's up to you if you want to decrease again, or how you would like to proceed, but I don't like to do 2 decrease in a row. I don't know. So after I did my first decrease row, which, and you can see it's kind of floppy, but we're going to level it out. I'm going to do 2 regular rounds, which again is just going to be clusters of 3 in every chain space all the way around twice. We always start with our chain 3. 2, 3. So I'm just going to go around and hit up every chain space with a cluster 2 times. Okay. So we have done 2 rounds of the regular, and then I have went ahead and slip stitched over to my chain space. So I'm going to do another decrease round, same 1, 2, and then skip 1. 1, 2, skip. That's how I say it. So that's how you get to hear it. So we'll do 1 cluster, 2 cluster, maybe, skip a chain space, skip 1 cluster, 2 cluster, skip a chain space, 1, 2, skip a chain space, and then skip this one, and here we go, 1, 2, skip this one, and then we don't have, so we're skipping a chain space and slip stitching into the top of the next row. And you can see that the cuff or the arm is getting smaller. This is as small as I'm going to go, but I'm still going to do some more detail because I want the sleeve longer, and then I like to put like different finishing on the end, which can be varied in so many different ways. This one I just kind of got one design already figured out. So the next thing I'm going to do is slip stitch back over to my chain space. Now I'm going to go around with just a cluster in each stitch 7 times. So this is my next row. I'm going to do a total of 7 rounds. Okay, we've done our 7 rows, and you can see it's starting to look a little more like a sleeve. You can continue until it's how long you want it, or you can follow along with me for just the last little part of this one. I do something different on every sleeve. of a cardigan that I make. It's just kind of an experiment for me. So you can do ribbing. I mean, you can do whatever you like. But on this particular sweater, since I already did the other half, this half I'm showing you how I completed it. So after my 7 rows, well, I like to clean it up a little bit. So I'm not gonna slip stitch to the chain space this time, because I'm going to put a stitch in every single stitch. The one I'm gonna use is half double crochet. So I'm gonna start by, I only like to chain 2 when I half double crochet. Again, that's just my thing. It doesn't have to be, okay? And then I'm gonna half double through every stitch, all the way around. And I'm gonna do 3 rows of half double crochet. And the final row will just be single crochet. So once we finish that, what we will have is what resembles half of a sweater. And with half of this sweater, you can put your arm through and see how you like it. The sleeve got a little bit long, but I'll want to fold it. But you can see it's not as baggy in the sleeve. And we've still got a ways to go because we have to connect them. So part 7 video, if you join me, we will finally start making 2 pieces of a cardigan into one. And the next part after finishing the sleeve is going to be, we'll take this and we will start adding width to the back only. So it'll start going out this way, and we'll do symmetrically the same thing on each half, and then we will connect them. So after part 7, we're going to have a connected, almost finished cardigan. The reason I like to do the sleeves first is because as they get longer, if I've already connected it, then I have twice as much fabric to mess around with while I'm turning the sleeve so much. So I like to have that all completed first. So here's our first half, and we are still inside out at this point. Here's our first half. We're going to finish up the second half, and we will come back for part 7 and work on back width and connecting.